Long ago, in the village of Nsumba, in the eastern part of Nigeria, there lived a beautiful young African woman named Adia. She wears a simple, earth-tone dress and worn leather sandals. She was known for her beauty, but more than that, she was known for her endless complaints. She envied the rich traders who rode on fine horses, the chief's daughters who wore golden bracelets, and the travelers who spoke of great cities beyond the hills. "I deserve more than this," Adia often said, staring at her worn sandals and the small mud hut she called home. "I want to be rich. I want to be admired. I want an easy life." One evening, as Adia walked by the river, she noticed something strange. The sun was setting, but her shadow did not stretch behind her as usual. Instead, it stood still, watching her. "Why do you look at me that way?" she asked, stepping back. To her shock, the shadow spoke. "Because I know what you desire," it said in a voice like the rustling of leaves. Adia's heart pounded, but curiosity held her in place. "And what do you know about that?" "I know you want wealth, comfort, and admiration," the shadow whispered. "I can give it to you." "How?" Adia asked, her eyes wide. The shadow's dark form shimmered. "Trade places with me, let me be free, and in return you will have all the riches your heart desires." Adia hesitated. "But how can I live without my shadow?" "Do you care more for a mere shadow than for a life of luxury?" the shadow asked. Adia thought of the chief's daughters with their golden bracelets. She thought of the traders with their fine clothes. "No," she said firmly, "I accept." At that moment, the shadow rose from the ground and wrapped itself around her. The wind howled, the trees trembled, and the river rippled violently. When the storm settled, Adia looked down. Her shadow was gone. The next morning, Adia woke up in a grand house, wearing silk robes. Servants bowed as she walked past. Gold and jewels glittered in chests. She had everything she had ever wanted. At first, life was wonderful. She ate the finest foods, danced at festivals, and rode a horse draped in silver. People admired her wealth and beauty. But soon, she noticed something strange. When she walked under the sun, people whispered. Children pointed at her. Some even gasped in fear. "Where is her shadow?" they murmured. One day, at the market, an old woman, deep wrinkles, kind but piercing eyes, stopped her. "Child," she said, her wrinkled hands trembling, "what have you done?" Adia frowned. "I have done nothing." "You have no shadow," the woman whispered. "You are not whole." Adia laughed, but deep inside, a chill ran through her. She rushed home and looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was flawless, her clothes fine, but something felt empty. That night, as she lay in her silk-covered bed, she heard a whisper. "You are nothing without me." She sat up, eyes wide. "Who's there?" There was no answer, only laughter, low and dark. Days passed, and Adia's unease grew. People stopped inviting her to feasts. The servants who once bowed now avoided her gaze. Even the wind seemed to whisper, "Shadowless one, shadowless one." One evening, she went to the river where the trade had happened. She called out, "Shadow, are you there?" A figure rose from the water, a dark, shifting form. It had her shape, but its eyes glowed red. "You called?" it asked, its voice filled with amusement. "Give it back," Adia pleaded. "Give me my shadow." The shadow laughed. "Why should I? You traded me away for gold and jewels. Did you think you could have both?" Adia's heart pounded. "Please, I was foolish." The shadow's voice grew colder. "To take back what is lost, you must give up all that you gained." Tears filled Adia's eyes. She thought of her riches, her fine clothes, her grand house. But what good were they if she had lost herself? "I accept," she whispered. The wind howled, sky darkened. Adia fell to the ground as her riches vanished, her silk robes turning back into the simple dress she had once worn. When she stood up, she looked down, and there it was, her shadow. It stretched beneath her feet, whole and silent. She felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. As she walked back to the village, she felt the warmth of the setting sun on her skin and smiled. She had nothing, no gold, no jewels, but for the first time, she felt truly rich. Shortcuts to success may seem tempting, but they come at a cost. True wealth is not in gold or riches, but in knowing who you are and valuing what truly matters.